Greetings. This is Nyah Tsai with National Network View. Tonight, weekly contributor Charles Muhammad will provide an update on how to eat to live and whether eating chicken is good for us, the dangers of modern chicken production, and what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said on the subject. Before we get into the top news, let's do a recap of the current events that we've recently covered. NNV News anchor Rosalind Park spoke with weekly contributor Brian E. Muhammad. Final Call News staff read about Israel's inordinate influence on the world stage, their interference in the affairs of other governments, and their political pressure campaigns.
In May, the African Union condemned Israeli attacks on Palestinians in the Gaza Strip and Al-Aqsa Mosque and the evictions that took place in Sheikh Jarrah. Why has the AU now granted Israel observer status?
Well, they've been lobbying, Israel have been lobbying to get status at the AU for a number of years. And they have been rejected because of strong pushback from leaders such as South African President Ramaphosa, and others who rejected their presence based on the principal position in support of the Palestinian cause that Israel, obviously has not moved to rectify in now 73 years.
As Israel accused Iran of a recent bombing, questions remain regarding Israeli involvement in numerous assassinations of Iranian nuclear scientists and officials.
A number of Iranian nuclear scientists have been assassinated. We've been talking about the bombings of the Palestinians for the last couple of weeks. Has Israel been implicated in those assassinations?
Yes, Sister Rosalind, they've been blamed and they took credit. The former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on a few occasions have alluded to what they did. Just a couple of months ago, the former head of the intelligence apparatus, the notorious intelligence apparatus of Israel, Mossad, said in an interview that they did this, that they were the culprits behind this.
As Israeli President Isaac Herzog called the boycott of Israel a new kind of terrorism designed to hurt Israel's economy, Ben & Jerry's ice cream company has said its boycott is following their social mission.
Are the owners of Ben & Jerry ice cream Jewish?
Of Ben & Jerry's are Jewish. Ben Cohen and Jerry, forget his last name, but Green. Oh, I won't mess up his name, but yeah, they're Jewish. The founders are, but the company is now owned by Unilever, which is a $61 billion a year food conglomerate based in England. And and I also want to say, on that, continuing on that last point that we was talking about, that to show you the hypocrisy, all the way around, I'm talking about America, Israel, Ben & Jerry's, Unilever CEO made it very clear that his commitment is to continue to do business in the state of Israel.
Weekly contributor Dr. Akili Muhammad updated us on the COVID pandemic and Delta variant that are surging in America and around the world.
Now, the CDC suggested that vaccinated people didn't have to wear masks in public gatherings, and they've now reversed that suggestion. What's your interpretation of this move?
Yeah, to me, my interpretation is that it's another example of how confused these people are. They say one thing and then within they're saying something opposite because they know how to handle this. The minister took the criteria in July 2020. Scientists from heaven cannot deal with the pandemic from heaven. And we're being shown this over and over and over again. There are certain faces that all of us know what they are. They're going to be posted in all these different news sites, and they're going to say something. And then not too long after, people have lost complete confidence because it's over and over and over again that these people are saying one thing and coming back and doing something.
Brother Shahid Muhammad, the math doctor and Asiatic Minds math instructor, discussed student achievement and proficiency in mathematics and how Asiatic Minds is prepared to help students improve their math skills and abilities.
Why is achievement and proficiency in mathematics so low in America's public schools, especially for Black people?
Well, the American public school system was never set up for the masses to be literate in any of the subjects, let alone mathematics. Those in power, the rich, bloodsuckers of the poor, they desire to stay in power. So they have to make sure the masses are dumbed down and illiterate in terms of reading and mathematics. So the school system was never set up for the betterment in mathematics. And then the American society, if we look at today, particularly, is a society with a lifestyle full of distractions, sport and play, people just seeking pleasure, savagery, and all those things go totally against excelling in mathematics.
NNV News anchor Christina Muhammad was joined by guest commentators, Regional Student Minister Dr. Abdul Halim Muhammad and Sister Deborah Muhammad of the Nation of Islam's Ministry of Education for a discussion on the impact of COVID and its Delta variant surge on the Black community.
With the Delta variant posing a serious threat, how can we expect this new strand to impact our community? Specifically, after witnessing the medical neglect that the Black community faced last year during the first wave.
Well, that is exactly the problem. The problem is the lack of diversity in the medical field, particularly in this administration, and the lack of equitable treatment in terms of there are two medical systems, one for the rich and Caucasians, and the other for the poor and people of color and even Caucasians. So the real problem is the comorbidity. See, they're often reporting, well, this amount of people died from the virus, but they very rarely talk about what were the comorbidities. How many of those people were obese? How many of those people lacked vitamin D? How many of those people had suffered from diabetes or cardiovascular problems?
Christina Muhammad posed questions to Dr. Abdul Halim Muhammad and Sister Deborah Muhammad about issues surrounding the vaccine mandate and whether it violated our rights.
With all the underlying preconditions that we discussed earlier that are affecting the world, especially the Black community, and these preconditions are what? Heart disease, diabetes, asthma, and cancer. We have never, ever witnessed the U.S. government works this hard to solve any of those problems. Why is there so much focus on this vaccination?
Well, the Government has been telling us for a very long time that there has been a plan by those who are in power to control the population of the world. And so the reason being is because this is part of this master plan, this scheme that this cabal of people have to control the population of the planet. And so that's why they're working so hard. That's the overall reason why they're working that hard, is because they want to control the population of people that they consider to be useless eaters. And so that is one of the reasons among many.
Dr. Halim Muhammad and Sister Deborah Muhammad shared their thoughts about the ending of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention Eviction Moratorium.
So, just a year after the initial start of the pandemic, where millions were furloughed and laid off. And many, by the way, have not yet recovered from this, will now potentially be facing evictions as a federal eviction moratorium has now expired as of July 31st. Dr. Helene, what does this mean for Black people in America?
It is a crisis. We're already suffering disproportionately from homelessness. And at a recent community roundtable that we had here in Houston, the Justice of the Peace and also the constable who serves these evictions in our community both spoke at the roundtable. And they were deeply concerned that, in fact, Congress had not passed an extension of this moratorium. So now those vested interests, such as landlords, mortgage companies, and banks, are going to have their way.
On I Have a Testimony show, NNV News anchor Willie Muhammad's guest was student minister Aman Muhammad of Maz 34 in Durham, North Carolina, who shared his experiences and memories growing up, how reading of the Holy Quran ignited his interest in Islam.
In the interview, you spoke about how your reading of the Quran ignited your interest in Islam. And, so how did you come about, like, who put the first Quran in your hand, and how did it impact you?
Yes, well, at that time, it wasn't as many Black bookstores and things of that nature at that time. And so I used the library a lot for whatever I wanted to do and research. And so I would go back and forth, trying to get little dabs of wisdom here and there and whenever I could. And at the time when I was in the 12th grade in 1990, my girlfriend at that time, she was going to NC State in Raleigh, and she was studying as well. And she gifted me my first Holy Quran. And man, when I got it, when I got it in that book, man, I couldn't put it down.
Sister Mariam K. Muhammad, founder of Heal That Life Center, shared how her spiritual life coaching addresses the overall health condition of women and girls through hands-on workshops, health seminars, lectures, and retreats.
Do you feel there's a lack or a void of this type of information or even this type of space for space like yours in today's society?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I feel like women are treated as if we're a new species to the planet. When it comes to our health, whether mental health, physical health, spiritual health, we're treated as if we're new. The time that it takes to learn how our bodies function is put to the sideline. If you look at the medical industry, we're not a priority. So when you go to the OB-GYN or you get a checkup and they're telling you, oh, you're okay, and you're describing your signs and symptoms and they're trying to tell you it's normal, but it's not normal. Or they're experimenting on us, or everything is always so extreme. I may be having pain in my reproductive system. Oh, she needs a hysterectomy. Like everything, the responses are always so extreme instead of taking the time to learn how our bodies work.
Weekly contributor Brian E. Muhammad discussed the growing concerns over the effectiveness of the African National Congress in governing South Africa, its internal power struggles, and the social unrest.
Has the ANC outlived its effectiveness and ability to govern South Africa?
I'll say this, the ANC came to power in 1994, and I just want to take this opportunity, of course, to correct a number. I said 24 years last week, but it's actually they've been in power for 27 years now. Okay. And, they're the first democratically elected government. Before that, it was white settler minority rule who ruled strictly by white supremacy. And so when they came to power, the ANC came to power, they made many promises to the people, of how life would be better, how, it would be a better South Africa under our rule. And of course, everybody believed nobody wanted to see the ANC fail.
Let us pause for announcements from our sponsors. After the break, Charles Muhammad will be on to give tips from how to eat to live and whether eating chicken is good for us. We'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Asiatic Minds. Online education. Helping our children to discover their God-given skills, gifts, talents, and passion that will allow them to see their greatness, as well as the greatness of our people. And upon discovering that greatness, infusing them with the desire to use it for the betterment of themselves, their families, our people, and the world. Call now, 502-219-4848.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
The hashtag #BankBlack social media campaign made strides not only in revolutionizing how we bank, but also how we think. The movement inspired thousands of African Americans across the country to transfer or deposit millions of dollars into Black-owned banks. These are banks that will invest in urban communities, employ African Americans, support Black businesses, and inspire Black home ownership. This is a very proud moment for our culture as we are taking small, but significant, steps towards building Black power through Black wealth.
Thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Clifton Muhammad with nnvnews.com.
A former U.S. president once pledged Americans a chicken in every pot, and Americans have eaten plenty. But the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad advises us that eating chicken may not be good for us.
Interesting, in 1925, it took 125 days to grow and mature a chicken. Nowadays, it takes 47 days, a month and a half, to a full adult chicken. Incredible. Now, there's a thing called CAFOs, Confined Animal Feeding Operations, okay? This is part of the factory farming. Now, I'm going to put some links below on this next topic, but when they were testing what's in the chicken and what's in the feathers and the beak and the claws, they found antibiotics, okay? Antibiotics, which were banned previously, they found antibiotics. So I'm trying to figure out how that got in there. Now, they found arsenic. Now, arsenic is a poison. And arsenic makes the chicken meat look very, very pink, and it also acts as an antibiotic. Arsenic is highly concentrated in the feathers. The problem is they use the feathers as a feed to feed the chicken, so it comes right back. They found residues of Benadryl, acetaminophen, Prozac, and they basically used these three for anxiety because these poor chickens are so tightly packed. But the way they wake them up is they give them caffeine, okay? You have to keep them feeding so they can grow.
Joining us to discuss this is weekly contributor Charles Muhammad. Welcome on, Brother Charles. How are you doing today? Now, this is some serious.
Thanks for having me. How are you?
Yes, sir. Of course, I'm doing wonderful. Now, this is a serious topic, Brother Charles. What is a common misconception about chickens?
Well, the common misconception about chickens is that it is healthier than beef and lamb. And most people will take on the idea that since chicken is not labeled as red meat, that it is more healthier than the red meat alternatives of beef and lamb. But our diet or fixation with chicken?
It seems to be that we're having some technical difficulties. Thank you so much, Brother Charles. And thank you all for joining us today and tuning into National Network View. Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, NNV News. This is Nyah Tsai with National Network View.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.